Okay, my friends, welcome to month 11. Congratulations, you've made it this far. And so, with that, we're going to begin our first session together. And I have my face buried. Let's see. So, Maria, could you mute your mic for me, please? I'm going to go ahead and let you do that so that if you want to talk, then you can talk. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. As you well know, my name is Joe Bustillos. Here's the contact information. Hopefully, did you guys get a chance to see the intro video that covered most of this stuff? Okay, perfect. One thing that is not in the video is that I'm doing a little bit of an experiment, because of all the confusion with instant message and AIM and iCloud, blah, blah, blah. I have created a Gmail account, professor.bustillos. I know it's not, it's not short, but I'm going to go ahead and use that as my instant message, Google Chat, and Google Hangout kind of tool. And it should work if you are an iMessage person, if you're an AIM person, then it should still work for you. Hi, Julie. Can you mute your mic, please?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep. Sorry about that.
No problem. So if you want to add that contact information, and then whenever I'm online and whenever you're doing work, if we're both online at the same time, then that should take the place of having a separate AIM account, having a separate iCloud account, et cetera, seeing as almost all of us, if we don't all have some Google account already, then that should fill the bill as far as the contact. And then also you can use that as the email contact if you want to. My as I don't know about you guys, but my Full Sail mail lately has been somewhat questionable, and so I get the Professor Bustillos at gmail.com all the time, 24/7. So I cannot guarantee that I will answer it immediately, especially if it's not office hours, because I'm trying to live a balanced life, the theory is. But it does come to all my devices, so it's one of those kind of things, as you well know, having dealt with the EDU mail system. So there you go. And then I also have the voice in the Skype if you want to do a voice chat. There is a Google Voice if you want to leave a message or contact me. I don't bother listing the extension for my Full Sail phone extension, primarily because we're in and out of the office so much that your best bet is to use this protocol, the IM, the Skype, and then the voice chat. And if you see me in the first two and you want to get a message to me quickly, then obviously that's a good way to do it. You can use Google Voice if you feel like a voice is more gets the job done quicker than doing the email. And then of course the email is the method of choice if none of the other options are available to you. And I also like to tell folks that if you email me a question and it seems like it's a pretty broad spectrum, what are we doing here kind of question, then generally speaking, I almost always will CC the whole group, because I'm a classroom teacher. I know that if one person is asking a question and has gone to the hassle of writing an email to ask the question, then that means that there's at least 5 other folks that are also scratching their heads and just haven't gotten to the point of feeling the need to do the email thing. So I almost always will, unless specifically told not to, will almost always CC my response so that we can all benefit from the question. And then it helps me make sure that I'm doing the job that I feel like I need to do as far as communicating what we do here. So again, I am Skype is, a quick fix. If I'm online, when you're online, then we can get get any kind of questions dealt with immediately. A voice chat or Google Voice. Also with the Google Voice, because I do have other things going on that I use the Google Voice for, please make sure that you identify who you are and what class you are, because sometimes we do other duties with other sections of Full Sail. So that will help with the identification. And then obviously clearly state the question, what the assignment is and what the question is, and then I will try to get back to you, usually within, one business day kind of a thing, if not sooner. Online hours are very variable, as I mentioned, which is why I don't bother with the extension. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me get here. Okay, so with that in mind, what I've created is a Google Calendar which you can access in FSO. And the reason I use the Google Calendar is because it embeds the calendar in the web page. And that way, from week to week, I can go ahead and if there's a change in my schedule, you will know, what is the up-to-date schedule versus something that's written in stone and there are more exceptions to the rules, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, and I list it as online hours because whether I'm working from home or working in the office, then I've, set aside that time to do full sail work, which includes or especially is important in terms of interacting with you guys. So that's the calendar stuff. This stuff you guys have already seen in the video. Media asset creation was created back in over 5 years ago now. Wow, long time. And it was when we did thesis, where you had to write a paper and you had to do a media project. And this month was set aside to create stuff for that media project. We don't do that anymore. So we've adapted it. And then obviously we're now in month 11, which is different. So our topic, the thing that we cover is leadership, both personal and professional. And then we've got a couple tasks that we're trying to accomplish specifically, which most of you will have done if you haven't done already, is the Capstone website. And then this leadership article that you'll be creating out of or based on your Capstone website. And then the tool that we'll be exploring, which kind of still has a little bit of a hint of the media asset stuff, is iBooks Author, which we'll talk about in a minute. So those are the kind of the three areas that we focus in on. What's the topic? What are the tasks? What are the big things that we're supposed to be doing? And then what's the tool the primary tool that we'll be using? So weekly activities, as was in the video, class session. We have the reading. We have discussion boards. They have a very multiple due dates. Class session obviously is most Tuesday nights. Weekly reading. Usually there's a Friday, Sunday kind of deadline where you need to respond, which is in the discussion board on a Friday, Sunday kind of thing. And it's all kind of lumped together into one activity. So I'm sure as you guys have clicked through and kind of wandered through, you recognize that if you go just by the dashboard in FSO, it might lead you to believe you don't need to do any of this until Sunday. That will be a mistake. So you need to jump on it, and obviously you have, or you wouldn't be here tonight because this stuff is listed in those activities. So class session, then the reading. Usually you want to get the reading done by Friday so that you can do your first post, and then do 2 response posts by Sunday. Okay, so that's the way that normally works. Except for on the week 4, if you've scrolled through week 4, we do that little wedge of time where week 4 we close up on Friday so that you have at least 2 days before you jump into month 12. So that creates a situation. And week 4 tends to be more reflection and not as much new stuff. So it should be more of something that you can do now by habit because you've developed this tendency. We have the leadership discussion board. I'm using the discussion board not like a traditional discussion board, but primarily for you to post things in response to what we're doing with this the article you're creating. And then we have the tutorials, and that's all we do. That's kind of how the week itself is taken care of. And then I did create kind of a course at a glance, so it gives you an idea of how things waterfall across the months. Or across a month. Any question? I know I rolled through this really quickly. Any questions on this stuff so far? Okay. Thank you, David. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Due dates. We need to cover this. So due dates, as I've mentioned, we have multiple due dates throughout the month. So you don't want to go by the dashboard and just jump on things thinking that nothing's due till Sunday, nothing's due till Friday, because basically you'll have a preliminary response and then follow-up responses for almost everything. So, particularly the main activities of each week, right? So you want to take care of that. But most activities, except for in the 4th week, do close on Sunday. And then this month, being month 11, is a auto return month. So what that means is I need to know in advance who's going to successfully make it into month 12. And with that in mind, that's why we have more or less front loaded most of the assignments. So the week 1 assignment is heavy duty, right? And so once you get that done, then you don't have to, it's not one of these, this is definitely not one of those courses where you are doing heavy lifting all the way to the last, to Friday at 11:59 on week 4. This is one of those sorts of things where you're going to create a pace, and a lot of the important stuff is going to get done early, and then we'll talk about why it's done so early, but also so that I get an idea of your level of interaction. I do primarily look at my role as being your coach. I want to see you successfully cross the finish line, and knowing what it is that needs to be accomplished means that I know what kind of deadlines you need to meet. And so that's why we have it arranged the way we have it arranged. If something happens and you contact me and let me know what was going on, then we can work together, but we are limited in what we can do. There's no way in heck if you contact me on Thursday of week 4 saying that, this, that, and the other thing has happened, that we're going to be successful, because I need to get by Friday of week 4, the registrar needs to know who's going to go into month 12. I can't hold that stuff over and give you any kind of time beyond Friday of week 4. And so what I do is, just like a coach watching somebody run, 4 laps around a track a mile, is I'm watching you as you go do each lap. And if you successfully complete it within, reasonable efforts, and then I'm going to assume that you're going to continue through all 4 weeks more or less the same, even though week 4 is a little bit shorter. It's just week 4 also has less heavy lifting, so I know that it's not going to be as hard on you. I will work with you if you work with me based on those limitations. If I, and that's why we have, it is one of those sorts of things where I understand human nature. I am the poster child of procrastination. So it is a little bit ironic that I am needing to be relatively disciplined about this sort of thing. And it's primarily because obviously the things that you need to accomplish in month 11 are required, or you will not be able to be successful in month 12. And we know this because we've been doing this for 5 years. And so knowing human nature, that's why we have the due dates. And if it weren't for the due dates, we know that stuff just wouldn't get done. But we really don't want the focus to be just on due dates. We want it to be on you guys gaining the experiences that we want you to get from the activities. But of course, without the due dates, then people put things off forever and ever and ever. There you go. So we will really want the focus to be on the learning, but we also recognize human nature. And so we don't want to be stupid about that sort of stuff. It's up to me also. If I get a sense that you're working with me and I'm working with you, then we shouldn't have a problem. If you let me know in advance if stuff is happening, then that shouldn't be a problem. If I feel like you're gaming the system, then I've been a student my whole life. I know, I have that vibe, and I try to give the benefit of the doubt to you guys. At the same time, of course, all of your prior professors sit around me in Full Sail. So if I've heard your name before, hopefully it's been under good circumstances. If not, please don't try to pull anything that you may have pulled in previous months, because again, it's like we all basically sit together when we're in the office. And so we've heard all the stories. And so you guys who are educators know the story, how it goes. And so we want to work with you as much as we can work with you. But it's up to my choice, and obviously I'm going to document it because I want to do a good job, but I do see my job primarily as being your coach and not being as your judge and jury. And that really covers our basic intro of what we're trying to accomplish here. Any questions about that stuff? Okay, Linda is having problems with her access. I did get an email earlier about somebody who was man, the weather these days, what was it, 40 in Florida today? Yesterday was 79. The weather cannot make up its mind. So there you go. So let's talk about the next thing on our minds. Let's talk about that wonderful capstone. Okay, so capstone, old stuff, everything that you did in the previous months, up, from the welcome page all the way to the data 2 page, is going to need to be done. And then there's some new stuff that's going to be also need to be done. And it's all getting assessed at the end of week 1, at the end of this week on Sunday. So like I said, welcome page, all this stuff. So that stuff, you've already gotten feedback from Dr. Bedard on all this stuff. I'm sure of it. So that stuff will be due. And then the new stuff is your summary page. So that is the second to the last page of your capstone website. And if you go into the information website for your capstone assignment, then you'll see this information. There should be a video there. You need to summarize 500 to 700 words. And you need to address these particular prompts. Did your proposed solution work? Compare and contrast the results of supported, refuted research. Include a thoughtful reflection of results of your action research and how this will help you in your future making recommendations and changes. Now, one thing that I need to say about this sort of thing, obviously 500 to 700 words, you don't, where people get in trouble is where they feel the need to inflate. This is like everything else that you've written. It needs to be, just the facts. So it's important that you take a look at what you did. Okay, I'm getting some feedback from somebody. And I can't tell who it is. Okay, so it's important that you look at what you did and you respond to the prompts by, okay, so what I'm really getting at is that if your research, your capstone research, not the website, but the research itself did not turn out the way you wanted it to, something went wrong. There is this human nature, especially from those of you who are in K-12 education, to not look dumb. I can't put it any other way. You want to look like you knew what you were doing in the beginning and you spelled it out and everything turned out perfect. Yay. And if it did, obviously that's almost too easy. But if it didn't, that is still valid. Research is research, even if it blew up in your face. And so you need to own that. If what you tried to do did not work out, please do not try to spin it. Dr. Bedard, as you well know, is very eagle-eyed. She's the one that's going to be grading this. And if she sees spin, she's going to spit it out. Okay? Because she wants you to tell the story. And if it didn't work out, just own it, because that's what that last sentence is about. How will this help you in the future to make recommendations for change? When it comes to real research in the real world, I was going to say 9 times out of 10, but it's much closer to 90,000 times out of, 100,000 times, it does not turn out the way the person originally envisioned. But if it wasn't for those people being honest and writing it down the way they did, then we wouldn't learn from their mistakes and make it better. That's the way the world works. So this is where people get in trouble with the summary page and with other things in their writing, is what we feel that we need to spin things and make it kind of work so that we knew what we were doing when we clearly didn't. And that's perfectly acceptable. When you started this process, you had no idea what you were doing for the most part. You were just kind of going, I wonder if. And then you took the step of faith and you began to do your lit review, and then you did it. And so you want to report it in that same fashion. And so that's, I know I'm kind of going on about this, but it is an important thing in terms of where people mess up with the summary page, because Dr. Bedard reads it and it's all fluff and it's a lot of stuff, but it doesn't tell the story. And telling the story is extremely important, whether it was the one you intended to tell or the one that actually just happened. Okay, because the important part is learning from everything. So that's my sermon of the week. There we go. Okay, so that's the summary page in a nutshell. 500 to 700 words. Respond to each of these prompts. You are taking what it was that you did. You are talking about what it is that you did. The cycle 1 and cycle 2, looking at the lit review. What did the lit review say? Now, this is another problem, obviously covered well before. Lit review is not I'm doing research and I'm going to use this research to prove my point. No, the lit review is, okay, what have other people out there done in terms of the area I want to study? And almost always you will find 2, if not more, camps of beliefs about the thing that you are trying to investigate or look into. That's real life, is that you've got all these different opinions and you need to kind of assign, okay, camp A, B, and C. And here's why A, here's why B, and here's why C. You synthesize it. Okay, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to understand what has gone before in terms of research that you are going to add to with your research. You don't want to repeat the same thing that somebody else has done necessarily if it's really been done really well. Why do that? So you want to take your spin. You want not spin in a good way. You want to take your environment, your specific situation, and see what data you can gather. I mean, that's it. So the lit review was based on what was done before. Then you did your stuff, okay, and then you're going to make a comparison. And if it doesn't match up, say so. Be proud. You did the work. You should be proud of the work you did, even if it was a complete disaster. Okay. Because that's how we learn. So, okay, enough of that stuff. So, what to do? Dr. Bedard has given you some feedback already on the welcome page through the Data 2 page. These are not suggestions, and I know you know this, but I need to repeat it because we do have students that somehow miss the point. If she gave you a list of 5 things that you need to do, that you need to fix 5 things, please. Because if you fix 3, we're not going to suddenly forget the other 2. The whole point of what her evaluation is that she is looking out for you so that your research is worthy of the year that you spent doing this. She doesn't want it to come off as being amateurish or not something worthy of a master's graduate, which is what she will soon be. So she's giving you the feedback point by point. It's very, very specific. Okay. So make sure that you respond to everything and take care of it. And then if she didn't give you feedback on your summary page, then that will be the new information that will be responded to if you hadn't previously gotten response to it previously. Let's see. I'm not covering anything. So this, and so in kind of a stair-step sort of way, obviously this is very important for you in month 12. So obviously if you don't complete this, then even if you complete the leadership article, the grade will not be good because you can't get the grade in the article until you get the grade in this. And it also makes logical sense because the article is based on this. So it's kind of hard to do the article without having finished this part, so there you go. Is she an angry cat? She can be, so you don't poke the cat. So how is the grading done? So once you're done, you hit the done button, right? And then we all know, okay, they're done. What happens because, obviously Dr. Bedard's teaching other courses and she's the one that does the evaluation for this particular assignment, is that she's got on her calendar when she's going to review your stuff. If she hasn't, now many of you, and I know, have already gotten the thumbs up. So I will double check with her and almost immediately you will get the 100% because you've already gotten the thumbs up because you did it already. Yay. Okay. But for those of you with stuff that still needs to get done or that did not get the feedback on the summary page, then she will review that between now and the end of the week, right? Or between the end of week 1 and the end of week 2. It would not be good workflow processes for you to click the done button and then start hitting us every 15 minutes. Have you graded it? Have you graded it? Have you graded it? Have you graded it? Because actually I'll just ignore it, but it really irritates. Remember this? Remember this picture? You don't want that picture. That's what happens to Dr. Bedard if you bug her too much. So don't do that. As soon as you hit done, you did your job, right? You did your job. So go ahead and do the next thing, which is basically go on to the leadership article. Basically what will happen is within the week, we'll get Dr. Bedard will get the feedback out. If there are minor errors, then we'll give you 24 to 48 hours. We'll hit the resubmit button, tell you specifically where the minor errors are, and then you got 24 to 48 hours to do the resubmit. And then when you do the resubmit, we go through that process again. And if everything's okay, 100%, no harm, no foul, right? Okay. So that's one scenario. The other scenario is if something happens, I don't know what it could possibly be, but you either don't make any of the changes Dr. Bedard told you to make, or you flat out don't hit the done button and it goes to this, what we see on our end, this project, this assignment was not completed. Then you'll get an automatic 0. And you'll probably get a GPS for late hit, right? But it's still the same process because our job is not to grade you. Our job is to get you done. So, we'll obviously email you right away and say, what happened? And then you'll say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And if you get it back to us right away, then no harm, no foul. You'll get if it's, if it's okay, then we get the 100%, no harm, no foul. I mean, we'll still probably get the GPS hit. But again, the objective is, we give you you do the job, you hit done. We look at it, give you the feedback. If it's done, cool. If it's not done, then, we continue that process until it is done. And that's why it's due in week 1, so that we have no doubt about it being done well before the end of week 4, right? So that's the process. And then obviously, if you can't get it done for whatever reason, then you and I are going to spend an extra month together. Isn't that great? Because, you whatever happened. Because that really, you can't go to 12, because we've had, again, we've been doing this for 5 years. We've had people try to get into 12. They get into 12, and if you don't have the website done, it's a horrendous experience for you, and it's not so much fun for us. We would much rather it be orderly, where you're not, your educational experience is actually fruitful. That's the idea. So we're pushing you. We know that, and we understand that. I'm human too, but we know what needs to get done for you to be successful, and so that's what we're shooting for. Any questions about Capstone? Okay, my friends. Now, for the elephant in the room, leadership article time. So, many moons ago, I recognized that, number one, you guys do absolutely amazing stuff. We have a specific framework that we put together and have been putting together since day one, way back 5 years ago. And for some of you, it may seem to be somewhat confining, and so for some of you, you understand it's a framework, it's a skeleton, and you build on the skeleton. You do amazing stuff. But the process is so hard that what is usually the response to getting this degree is you cross the finish line at the end of month 12, you attend graduation, the following week, hopefully, and then you go, yay team, and you put it all away. It's 8 o'clock. And you put it all away and you go into semi-retirement because you're exhausted, right? And as good as that is in terms of your accomplishment, it doesn't quite do what we are wanting to do. Well, let me put it this way. You guys have the means of changing education. If education is going to be better, it's going to happen because you guys are paving the way. Not some top-down decision by some administrator. And my photo booth is locked up. So there we go. Yeah, I'm still locked up. So with that in mind, came up with the idea of let's take the work that you're doing, convert it into an article so that after you graduate, you literally have a product that you can share with the rest of the world. Do that thing that's going to, move the rock an inch or two, that over time is going to do what needs to be done because you guys know what needs to be done. And so that's the genesis of this article thing, based on the work that you've done. Oops. I hit the wrong button. So we got the article. So basically, big picture, we've got this article that we're creating. We have weekly discussion boards about the article, and then we also have. Hang on a second here. And then we also have our sharing session in week 3. Okay, so the article, again, here's a skeleton. My suggestion is edit it in Microsoft Word or some full-featured word processor, but you want to share it because you're going to share it from this week forward with a group of friends via a Google Doc because it makes it really easy to do editing and commenting and all that sort of stuff. I put in there that you can use APA because it helps, but there are some, we'll get to that part of Dr. Bedard again, because she is this way, has created a framework that she wants you to use. And the idea is by giving this framework and by basing it on the capstone, then you're not having to go through what you went through with your lit review in some ways where you felt like you were creating from scratch, where you were having to create something that you had no idea what you were doing. And it was, for many of you, not a fun process, at least in the beginning. So this way, basically what we're doing is we're basing it on what you've previously done. Minimum of 2,000 words, which generally shouldn't be a problem. You'll turn in the Word doc, last name, first name, leadership article, doc, X. And then it's due, what I call the first complete draft will be due at the end of week 3. So that's the article. Discussion board, basically what we've done is we've set it up so that discussion board isn't so much what you guys will be sharing with each other as much as where you will be reporting what your friends, and they may be in class, which also is why the discussion board is kind of helpful, will be reporting where you'll be sharing the feedback that you're getting. Week 1 should be easy. All you need to do is gather those friends, 2 to 4 persons, and the URL, the Google Doc URL, where your document will be shared. Okay, which is important. Also about that, and I know I mentioned it somewhere, please make sure that you set your settings for your Google Doc to be either unlisted or public. Do not make it private with a specific group because it makes it complicated, etc., and we don't want to, make it more complicated than it needs to be. Okay, so that's that. So week 2 and week 3 for the leadership basically is where you will post the feedback that you're getting from your critical friends. You will share it with them, and then they will give you specific feedback. I always suggest, then this is the reason why we have 2 to 3 friends, or 2 to 4 friends, is that you have somebody who's like big picture, who can see what it is that you're trying to accomplish and can give you the kind of coaching that you need to be successful. And then you need somebody who's very, very shall we say, specific and detail-oriented that will help you with grammar and punctuation and spelling. So, and it doesn't have to be someone in the course, but it can be someone within the course. Obviously, you'll spell that out in the week 1 leadership discussion board. And then the week 4 is totally reflection because, of course, you've already turned in the article in week 3. So we're just talking about a dream job, which is, it was leadership related in terms of how you think about yourself, but it isn't really related to the article specifically. So those are the discussion boards. And then during class session during week 3, I'm hoping, and I'll kind of give you a little bit of information why I'm holding back on that a little bit, is that during week 3, we will come together and do in real time in our synchronous session what it is that you've been doing with your critical friends. And also with your critical friends, you can do it via email where they give you the feedback via email, or could do it Google Doc. You don't have to gather in a Google Hangout and do it live. You can, obviously, but you don't have to. But we will be doing it live during week 3, so it's important, Now, if you can't attend the week 3 session, then during week 3, you will be doing a third feedback section that you will need to post. So 2 times you'll be sharing with those friends if you can't attend the session live. Also, and it just dawned on me, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about what we do from week to week. Those of you listening to the archive, when I post the archive link in the discussion board for week 1 for our class session, you need to respond to that and give some feedback about the session. And that's how you get credit for this session. Whereas those of you who are here tonight live don't have to worry about that stuff. So that was a little bit off topic, but there you go. Okay. Okay. The reason I say the leadership article is based on your capstone is it's a kind of a continuum. We have the more academic version and the more what I call user friendly. The academic is well. Let's just talk about this. And you've been exposed to this with your lit review. Academic research is where you write down everything very specifically in a very detailed fashion about what you're thinking about, what you're going to do, and what you do. The person reading your research is looking at what you did to see if your findings are valid based on understanding what it is that you did. So they need to look at the full story. They're not focusing just on the conclusion, but on everything. Because if they see a mistake, it may be a mistake in the procedures that you did or something that changed your research such that you had the conclusion that you had. And so that's how academia works. And so when you talk about doing an academic article, that's why it needs to be the full story. Intro, lit review, methodology, results, conclusion, right? So that version of your article, if you're going to do that type of article, is going to be more of an edit, making it flow as one document, right? The more user-friendly version of an article, now I'm not saying that you're going to do two versions of the article, I'm just saying you're going to pick one. More user-friendly tends to be more focused on the conclusion. What did you learn from what you did? And this also kind of allows for those of you who don't like what it was that your research turned out to be, gives you an opportunity not to spin it, but to learn from it and to share the learning with others. When you go to, if you go to ISTE conference, or those of you guys in California go to Q, those tend to be less academic and more user friendly. They do tend to talk about what are the 5 things I learned from using Web 2 tools in the classroom. And then you just, you use your research and what you did. You still tell the story, but you compress it a little bit. So that's the context or the intro. And then you spend a little bit more time on what it was. If you were going to do a cycle 3, this is what you would do. Okay. If you're going to do this in the future and you're focusing on more the conclusion, it tends to be less academic in that it doesn't just tell the story so that the person reading it will judge you based on being able to follow along what it was that you did, as much as focusing on the conclusion, kind of assuming that you did the research properly. And you'll find in 3.4 and FSO, in the resources section, this guide. This is the article guide that Dr. Bedard put together. Section 1 is we'll talk about why we did this. Section 1, contact bio information. It's going to be 1 page. You need to do an abstract. And I think we'll talk about an abstract in a minute. 120 words less version of your research. So again, you're compressing it way, way down. Section 3 is your intro. Basically, it's your focus statement and your lit review. And then your methodology is section 4. Section 5 is your data. Section 6, your conclusion, future research, and then section 7, the references. This is how Dr. Bedard wants you to lay this out. Okay, and that's your guide. Whether you choose to do the more user-friendly version or the more academic version, this is kind of generally where you want to be. The word numbers are where you, except for the abstract. Abstract is absolute, 120 words or less. The rest of them, you want to be in the ballpark. So section 3 should not be 250 words. Section 3 should not be 5,000 words. It should be somewhere around 700 to 1,300 words. If it's 1,500 words, I don't think anybody's going to get mad. If it's 500 words, I don't think you're going to be very successful. Okay. So again, and as you can see, because you guys in your lit review, you wrote a lot. I mean, the 2,000 word limit could almost be covered with just your lit review, and many people are tempted to do that. Don't do that, because this article isn't meant to be about your lit review. It's meant to be about the research that you did. Okay. So that's why we've kind of tried to spread it out so that we have enough time, 500 words, for you to specifically talk about what you did in section 4 in your methodology. That should cover it. 500 words. Like I said, that should cover it. Your data report, what was it? Now, some people get confused between data report and conclusion. Data report, okay, the methodology describes what you did. Data report is what were the results, okay? And you specifically describe, okay, I collected this data and this is what it showed, and you talk about that. And then from the data is what you build your conclusion on, right? So there you go. Okay, here's the abstract guidelines. Basically, the way to understand an abstract, it is not a movie trailer. That's where people totally get screwed with abstracts. You're not trying to build it up. You are not trying to tease somebody into reading your article. Again, the abstract comes from that world of academia. So it needs to tell the whole story, because based on your abstract is whether somebody's going to read your article. And it's not about them being surprised at the ending as much as being satisfied that you did in your article what you said you did in your abstract. And they're interested in reading your article because they're interested in the subject that you researched, not because they want to be surprised by the trick ending. This is not an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Okay, so 1 sentence per section. 1 sentence for your opening question. 1 sentence for your lit review. 1 sentence for your methodology, what you did. 1 sentence for your results, and 1 sentence for your conclusion. It looks very much like this thing, only it's instead of 500 words, it's just 1 sentence. And you're just describing what you did. You're not building it up. You're not talking about how this is just going to change reading for the rest of the world for the rest of time. And you're describing it in the here and now. I'm working with a group of 7th graders in West Virginia, and we were talking about motivation. Okay, so we decided to do this. So this is what we did. And so you tell the story very briefly, 120 words or less. So what's the point of this stuff? Okay, well, the point of this is and this is the reason why we're doing iBooks Author in terms of this long tutorial that you're doing all month long, is in month 12, you're going to convert the text of the article that you're creating this month. In month 12, you're going to use iBooks Author, the tool, to make it into a multimedia product. So not only are we going to take your research and make it into something meaningful as far as something worthy of sharing, because you've done this hard work, but we're going to take it a step up and do something that no one else is doing. We're going to use iBooks Author, and we're going to do this work where we're going to use this tool, which is a very, very cool tool, to really be able to share in a very meaningful way what it is that you accomplished. Now, what I'm looking for when I look at your article content is these things that I have in this first bullet point. Consistent voice, the tone. I'm looking for you to tell your story. So consistent voice means that you're not switching between third person and first person. So if you choose to be academic and you choose to talk third person, then you're going to talk third person the whole time, right? If you talk in a relatively matter-of-fact fashion, not particularly stylized, then it's going to be that way all the way along. You're not going to start very dry and then try to get funny along the way. And then tone also refers to if you choose to be more user-friendly, you choose to share more of your personality, you're not going to share so much of your personality that it undermines the value of your research. You're not going to belittle what it is that you did, make fun of it, so that no one thinks about it and just, it's like, wow, what a waste of time. And this is one big joke. That would not be appropriate, right? So we're looking for that for tone. And then also, most of what you wrote, because you're going to use your, parts of your welcome page and parts of your plan page, a lot of that was written in future tense because you hadn't done it yet. Guess what? Your article is after the fact, so all of that will be told in past tense. So you need to go through there and make sure that it's all past tense. It needs to be a consistent story so that now the plan page, cycle 1 and cycle 2, there's a tendency for them in the first descriptions to all say the same thing. You don't need to say it 3 times. So find a way to say it 1 time, right? This is what I had planned to do. Boom, 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 boom. Spell it out. Or this is, this is what I planned to do, or this is what I did, and just spell it out, right? and then, go consistently tell the story. So you don't have to. So we're not. Oh, yeah. I need to. It's very important that I tell you this. Dr. Bedard has access to your website. I know you know this. If she sees that your website and your article, I'm using the quotation marks in my voice, are a flat out copy and paste, she's going to be sorely disappointed. I don't have that. I was gonna pull up the angry cat picture, but I can't because I closed it. But yeah, she's gonna be sorely disappointed. So don't do a flat out copy and paste and without any changes. You can begin with the copy and paste. I suggest go ahead and do the copy and paste as a means to it's much easier obviously to use what you've already done and edit back than it is to stare at a blank page. As a writer, I know this, but be very, very careful, because if it looks too much like a flat out copy and paste where you didn't change anything, where you didn't go through there and make it into an article, when it gets to month 12, she is really going to be upset. And so you don't want that experience. It's no fun. So let's see. So as far as the grade is concerned, if I see your engagement, I see the work that you've done, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't get a flat out 100, because you've done the work. This should be icing on the cake. But obviously your capstone needs to get done for this article to get its grade. You can't get 100 on this and get a 0 on the capstone, or for capstone not to get the thumbs up from Dr. Bedard. So that's just a word of warning. Please make sure that you get your ducks in a row, because it's very, very important. Any questions about the leadership article? I know that I ran through that really quickly. You have some time to process this, but you guys have done the heavy lifting. You've done the research that all of this is based on. So it shouldn't be too traumatic, I'm thinking. Okay, any questions? Or did I lose you all? Okay. Well, with that, my friends, we're done for this week. So next Tuesday, we're going to get together and we're going to talk about the leadership lynda.com activity that you're going to do this week as you're reading for the week. And we're going to talk about what that means to you and kind of begin to explore that and make sure that we're all on par as far as the article is concerned. So, also I needed to add this one last bit. Not that part. Well, and as you can, copyright, please, please don't ignore copyright. It's kind of important, especially at this stage in the game. That's why that's there. And then on a personal note, I've had a family event just before the class. Before this class term began. And so there's a very good possibility sometime this month I will be flying out to California to deal with these family issues. And so I've talked to Don Larson, our program coordinator. He assures me you will be well taken care of. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I am dedicated to giving you guys my attention. But there's a very good possibility that I will be needing to take some time off somewhere possibly during this month, fly out to California to take care of family stuff. So I just want to let you know, just in case I don't give you that, you don't see me online for some reason or whatever, when I say that I'm supposed to be online. And in the calendar, I'll if and when I get the information that I need to do this thing, then I will, most definitely put it in the calendar so you'll see it there. I'll probably make an announcement in there to make sure that you guys aren't left hanging. And then, obviously one of your previous professors will make sure that your questions are being taken care of, and that you guys are getting the feedback that you need to be successful. Because like I say, my job is to make sure that you're successful and that the hard work that you've already done gets the proper treatment so that it can, continue that experience that you've begun all those many months ago. Okay, so there we go. That's what's happening this month. I look forward to seeing you guys next week and to talk about the leadership stuff, personal and professional, and have a good month. I mean, good month, well, and a good week. And like, if you see me online and you got a question, please feel free to go ahead and ping me or ask your question. If not, I will see you guys next week. Adios. And I'll go ahead and end the. Anybody have a question? I want to make sure that I didn't jump over anybody's question. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. And if you've got a question that you don't want on the recording, then feel free. If not, have a great night, and we will see you next week.